Let's deal with the contradictions. First of all, I want to deal with this Drake-Kamala Harris contradiction. I want to deal with this Drake-Kamala Harris contradiction. I want to deal with this Drake-Kamala Harris contradiction. What do I mean by the Drake-Kamala Harris contradiction? I don't know my brother Drake. I don't know if he has denied his Africanity. I don't know if he disidentifies from his Africanity. I don't know. Word on the street is he does not identify as an African. Allegedly, he does not identify as an African. Here's my question to all the American African Democratic Party plantation slaves. Here's my question to all of the American African Democratic Party plantation slaves. Here's my question to all the American African Democratic Party plantation slaves. How can you have a problem with Drake not claiming to be African, but you out here raising money and caping for Kamala Harris, who also is only black when it is convenient? I want to expose the contradictions tonight. Who's standing with Dr. Umar tonight? Who's standing with the Prince of Pan-Africanism tonight? Who's standing with the most requested black scholar 14 years in a row? Who's standing with the #1 Pan-Africanist? Who's standing with the #1 school psychologist of all time? I'm going to express the contradiction. I'm going to expose the contradiction. How can you be ready to cancel Drake, allegedly, for only being black, allegedly, when it benefits Drake, but you're not ready to cancel Kamala Harris when she's only black when it benefits her? That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction. How can Drake be wrong for only being black, allegedly, when it benefits him, but Kamala Harris is not wrong for only being black during the election season? If Drake is wrong for only being occasionally black, then Kamala Harris is equally as wrong for only being occasionally black. Or do we have some kind of feminist privilege? Or do we have a radical black feminist privilege operating in our community? Or do we have a radical black feminist privilege operating in our community? Because I'm trying to understand how Drake gets canceled for being a part-time African. How Drake gets canceled allegedly for being a part-time African, but Kamala Harris doesn't get canceled for being a part-time African. That's contradiction number one. That's contradiction number one. I've seen multiple clips of Kamala Harris identifying as South Asian, never clarifying that she's also an American African or Caribbean African. I've seen multiple clips of her claiming to be South Asian and East Indian, but rarely do I see her claiming to be American African or Caribbean African or Jamaican African. That is a contradiction. That is a contradiction. Let me deal with another contradiction. Y'all say that y'all can't trust mixed race Africans. Y'all say y'all can't trust mixed race Africans. Some of you say that mixed race Africans are not black. Of course, I completely disagree with you morons, but some of you say that mixed race Africans are not black. Of course, I completely disagree with you morons, but here's my question. Here's my question to the Democratic Party plantation slaves of America. If you don't trust mixed race Africans, why are you caping for Kamala Harris? Let me ask that question again. You said you don't trust mixed race Africans, and you said mixed race Africans are not black. So if you don't trust mixed race Africans, and if mixed race Africans are not black, why are you caping for Kamala Harris? Help me understand. You're raising millions of dollars for a mixed race part-time African, but you claim they're not black, but you're calling Kamala Harris black. Please make it make sense. Can somebody make it make sense to me? I need one of you Democratic Party plantation slaves to explain to me how, on the one hand, mixed race Africans are not black, but you're calling Kamala Harris a black candidate for president. You just said mixed race Africans are not black, but you are calling Kamala Harris a black candidate for president. You can't make this up. We're going to expose all the contradictions tonight. We're going to expose all the contradictions. Do we have any soul food restaurants in Inkster, Michigan? Do we have any soul food restaurants open tonight in Inkster, Michigan? Do we have any soul food restaurants open tonight in Inkster, Michigan? Because after the podcast, Big Papa going to be hungry. After the podcast, Big Papa going to be hungry. Or will one of my Detroit queens prepare some Southern cuisine for King Kong? Will one of my Detroit queens prepare some Southern cuisine for King Kong? I said, will one of my Detroit queens prepare some Southern cuisine for King Kong? But let me hit you with this. Contradiction number 3. I'm not in Philly, my family. I'm in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm at Eastern Michigan University, my brother. Pay attention now. Pay attention now. Listening comprehension disability. Listening comprehension disability. Listening comprehension disability. Contradiction number 3. Can we deal with this National Association of Black Journalists panel discussion with Donald Trump? Can we please deal with that ridiculous? Can we deal with that ridiculous black feminist National Association of Black Journalists panel discussion with Donald Trump? Let me expose the contradiction. First of all, I love all 3 of my beautiful black sisters. I love all 3 of my beautiful black sisters. Let me just say that right from the start. Let me say that right from the start. Now, y'all wore red, white, and blue, or red, blue, and black. Why didn't y'all wear red, black, and green? To my 3 sisters who interviewed Donald Trump, I see y'all wore the American flag. One of y'all had on red, I believe. One of y'all had on blue. And I believe one of y'all had on black. But why didn't you wear the red, black, and green? Why did you represent the flag of African people? Why did you represent the flag of your oppressor? But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Here's my question to my 3 beautiful sisters who interrogated Donald Trump the other day. Here's my question to my 3 beautiful queens who interrogated Donald Trump the other day on behalf of the National Association of Black Journalists. And I only got one question for you, sisters. I only got one question for you, sisters. I only got one question for you, sisters. Why did you not see fit to have a single black man represented on that panel? Y'all claim that black men don't want to support you. You claim that you have to do it all by yourself. You claim black masculinity is at an all-time low, but at the same time, you didn't represent no black men on that panel. 3 women and Donald Trump. Make it make sense. I'm not saying black women are not competent. My sisters are competent. My sisters are intelligent. My sisters are capable. My sisters are worthy. This is not a denigration of the divine African female principle. That's not what this is about. This is not a repudiation of black femininity. I'm talking about balance. As African people, we believe in balance. As African people, we believe in balance. Why was there no gender balance on that conversation panel with Donald Trump? Why was there no gender balance on that panel discussion with Donald Trump? I'm simply asking a question. I'm simply asking a question. Black men will ask different questions than black women because women are not men and men are not women. And if there was 3 brothers on the panel, I would have asked them, why was there no sister? If there were 3 brothers on the panel, I would have asked them, why were there no sisters represented on the panel discussion conversation with former President Donald Trump? We got to stop moving out in an imbalanced fashion. If you have an imbalanced approach, you're going to have an imbalanced solution. If you have imbalanced tactic, you're going to have an imbalanced communication. You're going to have an imbalanced community. Black women, don't go nowhere without your men. Black men, don't go nowhere without your women. United we stand, divided we fall. I said, united we stand, divided we fall. That's why I take pictures with African women. That's why I take pictures at my events with my African queens. I'm going to take 100 pictures tomorrow at Eastern Michigan University with my voluptuous, my beautiful African queens of Flint, in Muskegon, in Big Rapids, in Inkster, in Highland Park, in Detroit, in Ann Arbor, in Ypsilanti. I'm going to take pictures with all my beautiful African sisters in Michigan this weekend because I'm showing the balance. I'm showing the love and the appreciation for the great divine feminine. And I need the great divine feminine to show love and appreciation for the great divine masculine. That's another contradiction. No black men on the NABJ panel, complete contradiction. And let me say this to my Chicago Africans. If I go to Costa Rica, if I get my passport and go to Costa Rica, I'm pulling up in I want to pull up in Chicago. But ain't nobody sent me any information. Ain't no protests, no march, no meetings, no rallies. Chicago, what are we doing about the Democratic National Convention? Are we really going to let Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and the rest of the Democratic Party and the Congressional Black Caucus, we really going to let them come to Chicago? We're going to let them come to Chicago and disrespect us in our face, and we ain't going to show up and show out and demand some restitution from Kamala Harris? Chicago, are we really going to let the Palestinians show up in bigger numbers than the American Africans? Are we really going to let the Palestinians show us up in our own city? Chicago, what are we doing? We got to be having something going on in Chicago. Ain't nobody sent me nothing. I'm still waiting. My phone number is 215-989-9858. 21598. We better have a rally, a meeting, a conference, a think tank, a protest, a march. Chicago, you cannot do nothing at all. You are facing the most aggressive migrant crisis in American history. Black Chicago, Black Michigan. We got to stand up for our sister who was just murdered and massacred in Springfield, Illinois. We got to stand up for her. Springfield, Illinois, all Illinois Africans. East St. Louis, Illinois, all Illinois Africans. The whole Black America need to be in Chicago August 19th to the 22nd. The whole Black America need to be in Chicago August 19th to the 22nd for the Democratic National Convention. I anticipate it's going to be more buffoonery at the DNC than the BET Awards. I anticipate there's going to be more black celebrity buffoonery at the DNC than at the BET Awards. Somebody told me that the Democratic National Convention is going to out-coon the BET Awards. Somebody told me that the Chicago DNC is going to outdo the BET Awards. It's going to be a black celebrity, house Negro, gatekeeper circus. I said it's going to be a black celebrity, house Negro, gatekeeper circus in Chicago. But let me get to another contradiction. I want to talk to black men and black women on this next contradiction. I want to talk to black men and black women on this next contradiction. I'm trying to understand how we don't have a single independent black hospital that I'm aware of. We don't have any grassroots black banks. We got black banks, but they're bourgeoisie. They're run by black bourgeoisie. We don't have a single grassroots black bank. We don't have a single grassroots hospital. We don't have a single grassroots supermarket. We have almost no real independent grassroots black schools. We don't have any grassroots manufacturing or distribution network, but y'all raising millions of dollars for a woman who's only black when it benefits her. I want to deal with this contradiction. Let's deal with the contradiction of black men and black women raising millions of dollars for Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. But you ain't got the same energy to build schools. You ain't got the same energy to build banks. You ain't got the same energy to build hospitals. You ain't got the same energy to build supermarkets. You ain't got the same energy to create jobs so black men don't have to kill each other on the streets. You ain't got the same energy to create a black distribution network. You don't have the same energy for black manufacturing, but you got millions for Kamala Harris. Mixed race Africans who you say are not black, but you raising millions. Can we please expose the contradictions in the black community? Can we please expose the contradictions in the black community? Now, as far as you voting, I've never told a single Negro not to vote. I've never told you not to vote, just like I've never told you not to go to church. I've never told you not to vote, just like I've never told you not to go to church. I've never told you not to vote, just like I've never told you not to go to church. What I told you is your vote will never matter to the black community until it is organized. I don't care if Donald Trump win. I don't care if Kamala Harris win. The results for you will be exactly the same. I don't care if Donald Trump win. I don't care if Kamala Harris win. The same governmental agenda against the black community will be carried out irrespective of whether the White House is painted blue or the White House is painted red. It doesn't matter if the White House is painted blue or if the White House is painted red. They're going to do the same thing to us regardless of who the president is. They did the same thing to us under Barack Obama that they did to us under George Bush. They did the same thing to us under Barack Obama as they did to us under George Bush. They did the same thing to us under Lyndon Baines Johnson as they did under Richard Nixon. They did the same thing to us under Joe Biden as they did to Donald Trump. I don't care who wins the White House, black people will lose. Let me say it again. Let me say it so you can understand, overstand, and understand. Let me say it so you can understand, overstand, and understand. It don't matter who wins. It don't matter who you vote for. So go vote. Go vote. Vote for who you want. Vote your heart. Vote your conscience. Vote your mind. It don't matter who you Negroes vote for. Kamala or Donald. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are going to do the same thing for black people, and that is nothing. Nothing at all. The Republicans and the Democrats have the same agenda for black America. The only difference is the tactic. Republicans are honest, Democrats practice deception. Republicans are honest, Democrats practice deception. Republicans are honest, and Democrats practice deception. That's right. Same agenda. It don't matter who wins. Do you remember Kamala Harris tweeting out a picture about supporting minority businesses? In the picture had about a dozen minorities and not a single black person. Who remembers the infamous Kamala Harris minority small business tweet? Who remembers that tweet? I'm going to post it so my Democratic Party plantation slaves don't forget. Does anybody remember Vice President Kamala Harris tweeting out a picture of minorities who own businesses, saying her and President Biden support minority businesses, and she didn't have a single black person in the picture? Who remembers that? Who remembers the infamous Kamala Harris tweet? A whole bunch of minorities, not a single black person. I'm going to tell y'all what she's going to do. She's going to bring back diversity, equity, and inclusion. Kamala Harris is going to bring back diversity, equity, and inclusion. But guess what? You will still be excluded because you don't understand how diversity, equity, and inclusion goes. She's going to include the East Indians, her family and race. Kamala Harris is going to take care of the East Indians, her family and race. Kamala Harris is an East Indian presidential candidate. She's going to take care of the East Indians. She's going to take care of the Asians, the Chinese. She's going to take care of the Latinos, the Native Americans, the immigrants, the rainbow gangers, the feminists. Guess who's going to be left out? Guess who's going to be left out of diversity, equity, and inclusion? Guess who's going to be left out? The black folks. She's going to have one token Negro on her presidential cabinet. She's going to have one token Negro who's probably going to be mixed race. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. She's going to have a token Negro. Everybody else is going to be people of color, but only one black person. In other words, you will be a minority amongst the minorities. You will be a minority amongst the minorities. You will be a minority amongst the minority. Oh, yes. She's the diversity, education, and inclusion president. She's the diversity, education, and inclusion president. And guess what? She's going to include every color except yours. Remember what she said in that interview? We can't do stuff just for black people. We can't do stuff just for black people. But you did stuff just for homosexuals. You did stuff just for Asians. You did stuff just for Native Americans. You did stuff just for transgenders. You did stuff just for immigrants. Look what y'all doing for the migrants. Look what y'all doing for the migrants. They getting child care. They getting free housing. They getting work permits. They're going to have voting rights. Look what y'all doing for the migrants, and they are not even American citizens. And you know what? I ain't heard a Democratic Party plantation Negro ask Kamala Harris what she's going to do about the migrant crisis. I ain't heard Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Benjamin Ben Crump. I ain't heard the Kappas, the Alphas, the Sigmas, the Qs. I ain't heard the Zetas, the AKAs, the SG Rows, or the Deltas, the Iotas. I ain't heard the Congressional Black Caucus, the Urban League, the NAACP. I ain't heard not near a black bourgeoisie ask Kamala Harris, what is she going to do about the migrant crisis that's purging New York and Chicago of black people? Guess what? We're going to get more migrant crises under Kamala Harris. How much y'all want to bet? How much y'all want to bet? There's going to be a crisis in India. Who wants to bet me some money right now? Who wants to bet me some money right now? There's going to be a crisis in East India, and Kamala Harris is going to bring 1 million East Indians to America to purge out the black cities. Y'all don't hear me though. Y'all don't hear me though. Y'all don't hear me though. You have a white man running against an East Indian woman. You have a Caucasian racist running against an East Indian racist. That's what you have. That's what you have. Now, some of y'all say, wait a minute, Dr. Umar. Wait a minute, Dr. Umar. I thought you said mixed race Africans are African. Yes. But they must be biologically and psychologically African. Let's look at Kamala Harris's ancestry. Her father is mixed race, Jamaican African, and East Indian. Now, my Jamaican Africans, I want y'all to speak up on this. Where my Jamaican Africans, I want y'all to speak up. I want my Jamaican Africans to speak up on this. We do have a lot of East Indian Jamaican Africans in Jamaica. We have a lot of mixed race, East Indian, and Jamaican Africans in the land of Marcus Garvey. And if my Jamaican Africans are being honest, many of the mixed race East Indian Jamaicans consider themselves better than Jamaican Africans. I know because I've been to Jamaica plenty of times. The mixed race East Indian Jamaican mixed race. Where my Jamaicans at? Where my the mixed race East Indian Jamaicans, the mixed race half black, half East Indian, the mixed race Indian Jamaican Africans consider themselves better than regular Jamaican Africans. This is a fact. The mixed race East Indian Jamaican consider themselves better than the everyday Jamaican. That's who Kamala Harris's father was. That's who Kamala Harris's father is. He was a mixed race, East Indian, Jamaican African. He was a mixed race, East Indian, Jamaican African, who thought he was better than regular Jamaicans. He raised his daughter to think she was better than regular Jamaicans because of Kamala Harris really considered herself a Jamaican African. If Kamala Harris really considered herself a Jamaican African, if Kamala Harris really considered herself a Jamaican African, why don't we hear her pushing the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey? Why don't we hear her pushing Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle and Bob Marley? If Kamala Harris is really a proud Jamaican African, why did she never correct people when they called her a South Asian? I've never seen Kamala Harris be called a South Asian or an East Indian, and she corrected the interviewer by saying, I am a mixed race African. Yes, I am East Indian. Yes, I am South Asian, but I am also a Jamaican African. I never heard her say that. I never heard her say, I'm a Jamaican American or Jamaican African or an American African. I never heard her say, I am a Jamaican African or a Jamaican American or an American African. I never heard Kamala Harris clarify when people called her a South Asian East Indian. So if you black people want to keep calling her that, so she has a black grandparent. So she's a quadroon. She has a black grandparent. That makes you a quadroon. If you have one black grandparent, you are a quadroon. If you have one black great-grandparent, you are an octoroon. She's not an octoroon because she has a black grandparent. She's a quadroon. Now, I don't automatically dismiss quadroons from being African. I do not automatically dismiss quadroons from being African. I don't automatically dismiss quadroons from being African, like an Amber Rose, if you would. But I'm dismissing Kamala Harris from being African, although she's a quadroon, because I've never seen Kamala Harris proudly proclaim her African ancestry. Remember, according to the Pan-African movement, you have to be biologically black and psychologically black. Is Kamala Harris biologically black? Yes, she's a quadroon. Is she psychologically black? Hell no. She wasn't raised by her mother to be African, and she wasn't raised by her mixed race East Indian father to be African. So Kamala Harris passes the biologically African test. She does not pass the psychologically African test. Amber Rose, I have to see if my good sister Amber Rose will pass the psychologically African test. Does my brother Drake pass the psychologically African test? I'm not so sure Barack Obama passed the psychologically African test, but y'all made him African anyway by hypocritical, contradictory Democratic Party plantations. We made Barack Obama black. We made Barack Obama wasn't psychologically black. He was biologically black, but he wasn't psychologically black. And now y'all want to make Kamala Harris. If y'all going to make Kamala Harris psychologically black, then you have to make Amber Rose psychologically black, and you have to make Drake psychologically black. You cannot cancel Amber and Drake unless you're going to cancel Kamala. I'm going to say it again. There will be no contradictions. There will be no contradictions. If you are not going to give Amber Rose a pass, and if you are not going to give Drake a pass, you cannot give Kamala Harris a pass. Where my unapologetically Africans at? Are y'all with me tonight, family? Are y'all with me tonight? Who's with the King Kong of consciousness tonight? We calling out all contradictions tonight. We calling out all, y'all not going to cancel Drake and cancel Amber Rose, but y'all don't want to cancel Kamala Harris. Y'all out here raising tens of millions of dollars. Who want to tap in with Dr. Umar right now? Tap in with the Prince. Wait a minute, we're not going to tap in. I need to expose a couple European contradictions. Let me expose 3 Caucasian contradictions. Let me expose 3 Caucasian contradictions. I want to expose 3 Caucasian contradictions. I want to expose 3 Caucasian contradictions. And then I'm going to let y'all tap it. Candace Owens is a Republican Party plantation slave. Roland Martin is a Democratic Party plantation slave. Those are the 2 black community plantation whips. They are the whips for the black community. Roland Martin is the Democratic Party plantation whip for the Negroes, and Candace Owens is the Republican Party whip for the Negroes. Now let me expose 3 Caucasian contradictions. Reverse racism. Neanderthal nation, feel free to tap in on this. Caucasian nation, feel free to tap in on this. Feel free to tap in. And then you have to leave once I go back to, but I want y'all in on this. Caucasian nation, Neanderthal nation, Snow Bunny Mafia. I want you in on this. I never told you not to vote. You don't have to tell me you're voting. I never told you not to vote. Your vote will never matter to the black community until it's organized. Go vote, my sister. You're not hurting anyone and you're not helping anyone. Please go vote. You're not hurting anyone and you're not helping anyone. Please go vote. You're not hurting anyone in the black community and you're not helping anyone in the black community. Please go vote. Now, Snow Bunny Mafia, contradiction number 1. There's no such thing as reverse racism. Reverse racism is a lie, a scam, and a front. Reverse racism is a concept invented by Caucasians so they can play the victim card. Oh, yes. Y'all say we like to play the race card? Well, guess what? Y'all like to play the victim card. Y'all say we like to play the race card? Guess what? Y'all like to play the victim card. Y'all say we like to play the race card? But guess what? Y'all like to play the victim card. Reverse racism. Racism is a group system of domination and monopolization of resources, opportunities, and privileges. In order to be a racist, you must be part of a system that is able to disenfranchise an entire group of people. If you don't belong to a system that is able to disenfranchise an entire group of people, you can't be racist. Black people have no system of control whatsoever over Caucasians. Black people have no system of control whatsoever over Caucasians. We can't miseducate your kids. We can't hurt you at the hospital. We can't deny your mortgage. We can't stop you from getting a student loan. We can't keep you out of college. We can't give you a long prison sentence. We can't do that. Now, some of y'all are going to say, what about the black judges? What about the black loan officers? What about the black school teachers? They work for white institutions. Who controls the institution? Not who works for the institution. Who controls the institution? The fact that you have a black judge means nothing. They work for what? A white judicial system. The fact you have a black teacher means nothing. They work for a white miseducation system. The fact that you have a black banker means nothing. They work for a white financial institution. In order for there to be reverse racism, in order for there to be reverse racism, in order for there to be reverse racism, black people have to have the power to disenfranchise white people. In what world? In what world? In what state, in what county, in what city do black people have the power in America and white people do not? Can somebody help me out, please? Can somebody give me one city in America? Can somebody give me one county in America? Can somebody give me one state in America where black people control the banks, control the criminal justice system, control the economy, control the courts, control the institutions, control the hospitals, control the schools? Can somebody give me one black city in this country that has a black power structure and not a white power structure? I'll wait for your answer. I'll wait for your answer. Dear white people, can you name one city? Dear white people, can you name one county? Dear white people, can you name one state where there is a black power structure that is oppressing white people? If you can't name one city, one state, one county where there is a black power structure oppressing white people, don't you ever again in your life use the word reverse racism. Don't you ever again in your life use the word reverse racism. That is a complete contradiction. Reverse racism. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing can be further from the truth. Let me expose another Caucasian contradiction. Let me expose another Caucasian contradiction. Anti-racist training. Y'all be just making up shit. You white folks be just making up shit. Anti-racist training. So according to anti-racist theory, and you do got Negropeans who support this nonsense, according to anti-racist theory, you can teach somebody not to be a racist. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. You can teach somebody not to be a racist. Can somebody please email me the anti-racist curriculum? I want to look at this. Can somebody please email me the anti-racist curriculum that will teach white people to stop dominating, monopolizing, controlling resources, privileges, and opportunities? Can somebody please send me the curriculum? Can I please see somebody's anti-racist curriculum? I want to see how exactly y'all go about removing racism from the white psyche. I need to see this. Because according to anti-racist training, you can stop a white person from being a racist. Can somebody please show me the curriculum? Another contradiction. Another contradiction. Another contradiction. Another contradiction, brothers and sisters. We got to deal with it. I'm going to do one more white contradiction. I'm going to do one more white contradiction. Y'all ready for this one? Y'all ready for this one? White guilt. I don't know who the hell came up with this bold-faced lie. White guilt? What? I need somebody to help me with the white guilt. White guilt. Can somebody please help me with the white guilt? So let me get this straight. You enslaved us globally for 500 years. 246 in America, but globally 500 years. You colonized our mother continent for well over a century and a half. You have come up repeatedly with obstacles to black people achieving equality, not only in America, in the Caribbean, South America, Central America. My Canadian Africans deal with racism every day. My British Africans, my French Africans, my Austrian Africans, my Africans in Ireland and Scotland and Sweden and Norway. My Africans all over the world, Australia, even in Africa, because y'all still control our economies. We deal with racism. You have never taken taken a break from being racist for 500 years. You have never taken a break from being racist for 500 years. You have never taken a break from being a racist for 500 years. As soon as slavery was over, colonization started. So when colonization ended, neo-colonization. You gave us AIDS. You miseducated our kids. You did experiments on our prisoners. You sterilized our women without their knowledge, like Queen Mother Ancestor Freedom Fighter Fannie Lou Hamer. You created the ghetto. You systemically impoverished us. Every single day for 500 years, you have committed racism against African people. And after 500 years of global Caucasian supremacy, after 500 years of global Neanderthal supremacy, after 500 years of pale-face supremacy, you want me to believe you are guilty for what you have done, although you continue to do it. Help me understand, overstand, and understand this. Can somebody please help me understand, overstand, and understand how you've been doing this for 500 years, non-stop, all over the world? You have never taken a break. You continue to oppress to this very day. You continue to what it is. White supremacy is barbarism. After 500 years of barbarism, you want me to believe you are guilty? You won't apologize for it. You won't issue any type of restitution or reparation. You won't apologize for it. You won't issue any type of restitution or reparation. You won't apologize for it. So you're not sorry. You won't issue no type of restitution or reparation, but yet you say you are guilty. Let me say this to you, Caucasian nation. Let me say this to you, Caucasian nation. It's not guilt, it's fear. There's no such thing as white guilt, but there is white fear. And do you know why you're fearful? You're fearful because you're the world's minority. You're the smallest race. You always have been. But your proportionality of the human population, if we dare call you human, is getting smaller and smaller. And you know that if black people, if Africans ever get control of society, if we ever get control of the land, if we ever get control of the resources, you fear that we may pay you back for what you done to us. And if we did to you what you have done to us, you wouldn't survive 500 years. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. If melanin dominant people do to melanin deficient people what melanin deficient people have done to us these past 500 years, I said if melanin dominant people do unto melanin deficient people what you have done to us for the past, let me say it again. If magnificently melanin dominant people, if the magnificently melanin dominant people of the earth do to the melanin deficient people of the earth what you have done to us, you would not survive it. You would not survive it. One more contradiction for Caucasian nation. Just one more contradiction. If you love black people so much that you want to marry our women, y'all going crazy over our women, and black women's self-esteem is so low, even the ugliest white man is more desirable to her than the most handsomest black man. The self-esteem of some black women is so low that even the ugliest white man is more desirable than the most attractive black man. I said some of our sisters are so thirsty for Caucasian validation that the ugliest white man is more desirable to her than the most handsome black man. But here's my question for Caucasian nation. Here's my question, she just can't wait to ride the slave master Shango stick. Shame on you sisters who bunny hop. Shame on you sisters who bunny hop. But here's my question to Caucasian Nation. Here's my question to Caucasian Nation. If y'all love us so much, white men love black women. White women love black men. Romantically. If white men love black women as much as y'all claim y'all do, if white men love black women as much as y'all claim y'all do, I'm talking to all the white men with black wives out there. I'm talking to all the white men with black wives. I want to ask you a question. I'm not going to disrespect you or your family. I'm not going to disrespect you, but I have a question for all the white men with black wives and all the white men dating and sexing and procreating with my sisters. I got a question for you. Snow Puppy Nation, I have a direct question for Snow Puppy Nation. Snow King Empire, Snow Kings. I'm talking to the Snow Kings. Snow King Mafia. Snow Puppy. If you love black women that much, if white men love black women that much, why aren't you out there fighting for justice for Sonia Massey? You love black women so much. Where are the white men fighting for Sonia Massey? You love to sex our women. You love to date our women. You love to impregnate our women. Why are you not fighting against the police who murdered Sonia Massey since you love black women so much? Talk to me, Caucasian Nation. You love black women, but it seems like your love is confined to the bedroom. It seems like the white man's love for the black woman is confined to the bedroom. Because if your love for black women isn't confined to the bedroom, why aren't you fighting for Sonia Massey? Why didn't you fight for Sonia Bland? If white men love black women so much, why do we only see it in the bedroom? If white women love black men so much, why are they not fighting to change the criminal justice law? Look at all the white female attorneys we have. Look at all the white female attorneys. Y'all love black men so much, but none of you are fighting to change the criminal justice code. None of you are fighting against the school to prison pipeline. Y'all don't like us. Y'all just like to sexually make love to our minds. Y'all just like to make love to our mind. It's called confusing the victim, and it's one of the oldest tactics of white supremacy. That's all they doing. All you bunny hopping black people out there, I'm talking globally now. I'm a Pan-Africanist. I am the prince of Pan-Africa. I'm talking bunny hoppers in London, bunny hoppers in Paris, bunny hoppers in Africa, bunny hoppers in South Africa, bunny hoppers in Texas, New York, bunny hoppers in Philly, Baltimore, D.C., bunny hoppers in Georgia, Carolina, and all you bunny hoppers should be ashamed of yourself. You making love to them physically. You sexing them physically. They sexing you mentally. They sexing you mentally. They ain't doing nothing but confusing your damn mind. And when the time comes for them to remind you of who they really are, when the time comes for them to remind you of who you really are, I would hate to be a fly on that wall. Let me go to another contradiction. This is the first day of Black August. This is the first day of Black August, and I'm the king of Black August. I'm the king of Black August, but this is the first day of Black August. black people who don't like mixed race Africans. And for the record, I have no problem with a mixed race African. As long as they psychologically black, they full-time African, they unapologetic, I have no problem with none of my mixed race brothers and sisters. I want to be clear. I'm talking to the non-mixed race Africans. Can I ask y'all a question? How can you have such a big problem with mixed race Africans, but you have no problem with interracial marriage? Help me understand. People can love who they want to love, you say. People can date who they want to date, you say. People can marry who they want to marry, you say. So if you don't have a problem with a black man marrying a white woman, if you don't have a problem with a white man marrying a black woman, why do you have a problem with the child they created? Why do you alienate the child they created? Why do you marginalize the child they created? And you know what's funny? You know what's funny? You silly, goofy, anti-mixed race Africans. Let me say this. There's sooner or later, because of the snow bunny crisis, sooner or later, because of the snow bunny crisis, sooner or later, and I believe it's going to be sooner, there will be more mixed race Africans in America than regular Africans. I'm going to say it again. There will be more mixed race American Africans than traditional American Africans if the bunny hopping continues and is getting crazy. So we are going to become a super minority. I'm going to say it again. I hope y'all listening to me. I hope y'all listening to me. The traditional American African, that means me, a black man with two obviously African parents, right? That's the traditional American African, a black man in America, a black woman in America with two obviously African parents. That is a traditional American African. We will be the minority. We will soon be outnumbered by the mixed race Africans because y'all believe in colorblind love. Because you believe in colorblind love, the mixed race American African will soon outnumber the traditional American African. And once the mixed race American African outnumbers the traditional American African, the U.S. government will no longer consider the traditional American African. They will only consider the mixed race American African. In other words, we will have a colored population in America just like they have in South Africa. Where my South Africans at? Where my South Africans at? In South Africa, we got a whole community of mixed race Africans who don't consider themselves black, although biologically they are. A whole community of anti-black mixed race Africans in South Africa who don't consider themselves black, even though biologically they are. We are creating the same thing in Black America right now. We are literally engineering ourselves out of existence in America by practicing two concepts. I hope you bunny hoppers are listening. I hope you bunny hoppers are listening. I hope you bunny hoppers, male and female, are listening. The mixed race American African population is growing exponentially. Exponentially. Look at all the NBA draft. All of them are mixed race children. A third of the NFL mixed race children. Look at these public schools. So the mixed race American African population is growing exponentially because we believe in colorblind love, right? Colorblind love, colorblind family. So we are engineering ourselves into extinction. The traditional American African will be extinct soon because the mixed race American African is reproducing exponentially, which means our numbers are getting smaller. Think about it. Black men are marrying non-black women. Black women are marrying non-black men. So the predominant African American will soon be a mixed race African American, which means the traditional American African, who has an obviously African mother and an obviously African father, like myself, a traditional American African, we will be a super minority. Our number will be so small that nobody will even mention we exist anymore. Our number will be so small that nobody will even mention that we exist anymore. You got 50 million American Africans. 50 million. 5 million are our African immigrant brothers and sisters. Peace and love to them. 5 million are our African immigrant brothers and sisters. Caribbean African immigrant, Central South American African immigrant. Those are the African immigrant. Only about 5 million. You left with 45 million American Africans. It is now 2024. By 2044, I'm going to give you 20 years. It might not take that long. It might not take that long. By 2044, I promise you, by 2044, there will be more people claiming mixed race on the U.S. Census. There will be more people claiming biracial on the U.S. Census. There will be more people claiming multiracial on the U.S. Census than claiming African American. I promise you this. I promise you this. In the minute that America has more people claiming to be mixed race, biracial, and multiracial than black, the minute they outnumber us, and they will soon do it because of the snow bunny crisis. You think black people catch hell now? You ain't seen the hell we gonna catch when we are not even the predominant African American anymore. When the light-skinned mixed race African American takes over our community. When the light-skinned mixed race African American takes over our community. And for the record, my mixed race Africans, I'm not demonizing you. If you loyal to the race, I'm not demonizing you mixed race Africans. As long as you psychologically African and you're a full-time African. What I'm saying, and I'm sure you know this to be true, mixed race Africans, what I'm saying is many mixed race Africans, and you know this yourself, many of them desire white proximity because they were raised by a white parent and they were raised by a house Negro parent. Every mixed race African had a house Negro parent and a white parent. Every mixed race African in the world has a house Negro parent and a Caucasian parent. They either got a rice mommy, a sand mommy, a salsa mommy, a snow mommy, or snow poppy, a rice poppy, a salsa poppy. Every mixed race African in the world has a non-African parent and a house Negro African parent. If you are a mixed race, your black parent was a house Negro. I'm no disrespect. We just calling it what it is. If you are mixed race, you had a bunny hopping parent. If your bunny hopping parent was proud to be black, if your bunny hopping parent was proud to be black, you would have a different, I'm not going to say you wouldn't be here because you could have still came through the ancestral portal. I'm not going to say you wouldn't be here because you would have still came through the ancestral portal, but you would have two black parents. You would have two black. If you don't have two black parents, one of your parents is a house Negro. And if they are a house Negro, they don't value black consciousness. They don't value black culture. They don't value the black family. They don't value black business. They don't value black excellence. They don't. So you was raised by a non-black parent who don't like black people. And you was raised by a black parent who don't like black people. So many mixed race Africans are predisposed to identify and be loyal to the white power structure. Okay? Now let me say this. I am not prejudiced towards mixed race Africans. If you step to me and say, Dr. Umar, I got a white mom, white dad, Chinese mom, Latino dad, Arab mom, but I'm black, I identify as black, that's who I am. I'm going to accept you at your word until you show me otherwise. In other words, I treat you no differently, mixed race Africans. I treat you no differently than I treat a full-blooded African. I will take you at your word that you are loyal to the race until you show me otherwise. But what I am also saying is many mixed race Africans, first of all, if you were not ashamed of being black, you would not even call yourself mixed race. If you were not ashamed of being black, you wouldn't even call yourself biracial. If you weren't ashamed of being black, you wouldn't even call yourself multiracial. So what I'm saying to the traditional American Africans, what I'm saying to the traditional American Africans with two parents who are obviously black, because you believe in colorblind romance, you are a part of the problem. We are literally breeding ourselves out of existence with this interracial dating and marriage. We are literally breeding ourselves out of existence. That's what we're doing. So this is what we're going to have to do. This is what I'm going to have to do. When I rebirth Team Pan-African, no. If Drake says he's psychologically black, if Amber Rose says she's psychologically black, if the brother or sister down the street says they're psychologically black, if Kamala Harris says she was psychologically black and she can't say that because she's not, I accept them as family. But that has nothing to do with the fact that the American African is breeding himself and herself out of existence with the bunny hop. The snow bunny crisis is a racial extermination cancer. That's what it is. We are weakening our genes. We are weakening our DNA. Do you think it's a coincidence? Do you think it's a coincidence that the U.S. Census changed in 2010 while Barack Obama was president? Do you think it's a coincidence they gave you a mixed race president and then they changed the racial categories of the U.S. Census? They added multiracial, biracial, identify as more than one race. Why they didn't been do that? You've had mixed race Africans since the slave master raped grandma 400 years ago. So why are they just now acknowledging mixed race on the census when Barack Obama becomes the president? I'm going to say it again. We've had mixed race Africans since the plantation. So if we have mixed race Africans since the plantation, why do they wait till Barack Obama become president and now we're going to add multiracial and mixed race and biracial to the census? You know why? They used Obama and Kamala. See how the names sound the same? Obama and Kamala. Kamala, Obama, Obama, Kamala. Look at this mixed race bullshit. Obama, Kamala, Kamala, Obama, Obama, Kamala, Kamala, Obama, Obama, Kamala, Kamala, Obama. Look, they are promoting genocide of the traditional African phenotype. They're using Barack Obama and Kamala Harris to promote genocide through reproduction in our community of the traditional American African phenotype. And then they changed the census so any black person who don't want to be black and found out they got a Native American grandma, a Native American grandpa. See, this is why I don't respect the pretendians. This is exactly why I got a problem with the pretendians. The pretendians are just like the misrace Africans who don't identify. The pretendians are another group of mixed race Africans who do what? Disidentify from black people. Disidentify from black people. Listen. And to my pretendians, you ain't special. Self-hate is self-hate. Self-hate is self-hate, whether you call yourself a pretendian or whether you call yourself a mixed race African. Self-hate is self-hate. You don't want to be black. You don't want to be black, so you call yourself mixed race. You call yourself a pretendian, and what you idiots don't realize, what you idiots don't realize is all you're doing is shrinking the pool of black people that exists in this country on paper. They are reducing the amount of black people that exists on paper. And they're going to make the number smaller and smaller and smaller till they one day going to say, there's no more African Americans. According to the 2030 census, we only have 100 people still calling themselves African American. According to the 2040 census, we only have 50 people still calling themselves African American. According to the 2050 census, we only got 5 people calling themselves African American. But we have an influx of pretendians. We have an influx of mixed race and biracial and non-racial and all this other crap. See how this works? Do you see how this works? This is why we must be unapologetically African. This is why we must be unapologetically African. Brothers and sisters, hold fast to the red, black, and green flag.